Hey guys, Comet here. Welcome back to Captain of Industry on the Golden Peak. In the last episode, I sent the ship out to explore the map, said hi to some friendly neighbors and some not-so-friendly neighbors. The friendly ones gave me access to new contracts, and the original plan for this episode was to start delving into some of those contracts. I cleared out a lot of space. Back over here, I took the mountain that was here and put it in the hole that was here. So there's no more water, and I covered up the coal mine. I also flattened the plateau over here, so everything is all at the same height. I wanted a lot of space to get in more docks to do some of those contracts, and I wanted to redo all of my infrastructure. But the more pressing problem is actually health. Air pollution and water pollution are very high, and anytime I get some kind of disease, whether it's flu or cholera, I lose so many people, and I'm having trouble maintaining my population. And if I were to redo all of this infrastructure, it would require a larger population. So I'm gonna stick to the fundamentals. I'm not gonna try and get fancy yet. I need to make the people I have more healthy. The way I want to go about that is in three main ways. I want to get the wastewater under control, start running it through a wastewater treatment facility. I need to get the exhaust from all of these buildings through an exhaust scrubber. And then I also want to get into some better food types. So I have the greenhouse, which means I can start planting corn, wheat, and fruit. And then maybe even get into some chicken farms. Now I think the easiest place to start would just be with exhaust scrubbing. There's never really a time where all of this is running. So I think I'll be okay with just 2 scrubbers. That'll get me close to 1,000 exhaust. And then on times where it can't keep up, I'll just buffer a little bit so that the scrubbers can catch back up. So these take limestone, water, and exhaust as an input, and they output sulfur, CO2, steam low, and slag. And the CO2, I have 2 ways of dealing with that. I can put it into a gas injection pump. That has to be built on top of limestone, though. And this can sequester 72 CO2. This produces 192. So 192, now times 2, I have 2 machines, is 384. We're going to divide that by the 72, and that gives me just over 5 machines. So I would need 6 of these to keep up with these scrubbers here. I could also just vent the CO2 with these large smokestacks. And if we take a look at CO2, it does get turned into a little bit of air pollution. But after doing all of the math, it works out to be about 1/5 the air pollution that exhaust provides. Now I could also just run the steam output just into the smokestack here as well, and vent both of those, but then this would take a lot of clean water to keep running. What I think is a better idea is to utilize the thermal desalinator. These take in multiple types of steam and produce clean water and brine. Then the third option is actually to run it through a low pressure turbine to get a little bit of power out of this whole thing. I did say I wanted to get into the greenhouse, but if we look here, the greenhouse crops require 12% extra water. So I'll be consuming more of the water from this. I could extend these, or I could get into thermal desalination. And I think more water is the best solution here. This produces 48 steam low. This can consume 24 steam low, so I'll need 2 of these desalinators. And I can snug these up right against the machine here, just using a basic pipe. I can go into both inputs there. Some of the water can be run back around to the input, and then the rest of the water can be run to feed all of the crops. Then I also wouldn't need this anymore. Because the brine that this produces can go straight into an evaporation pond. So instead of doing the seawater to salt recipe, I could do the brine to salt recipe. I'm going to orient everything in this direction here. I think the easiest way for me to get exhaust out is just through the slag manifold. I'll put it in the exact same spot, using a pipe 3, just over across the top of everything. So I'll plug into the buffer here, and then across the bottom here, I could have the exhaust manifold to feed into the second scrubber. Wait, did I do the math right? I feel like I didn't do the math right. This won't fit in a single pipe. 24 exhaust times 12 plus another 24, 24, 24, and 24. So that's 24 times 16, 384. Glassmakers only produce 18. So 384 plus 72 is 456. And then another 34 from all of the concrete. So 456 plus 34. It's 490. And this can do 480. Okay. So I can actually get away with just one exhaust scrubber. That makes more sense. And the throughput of a pipe 3 is only 450. So that's actually my limiting factor here. What I could do is run 2 manifold pipes. That might be a little overkill. But in this way, I will never be limited by pipe throughput. As long as it goes into a buffer, these are all guaranteed to work when I need them to, for a limited amount of time. That can go into the buffer, and then the scrubber will slowly keep processing stuff from the buffer when there is some downtime. It'll catch back up. So then I need an output for sulfur and slag. Now the slag, I could actually run back into the concrete. Oh, this is starting to get a little messy. I think I can make it work. I just need to get this belt back over to here somehow, and it looks like it might actually work. Wow. Now that routing is atrocious. So I'm gonna do that manually. I'm not gonna let the AI do that. I think I'll use an elevator right here. Come over across the top of everything. And then I'll just get another elevator to drop down into this bucket here. And that should handle the slag output. What can be reprocessed into concrete will be, and anything that can't be reprocessed will just get picked up by the trucks. Because this is already set to auto-empty. Now this does need a clean water input, so I think I will steal some from this manifold. Come up and over everything. And then drop down into here. The exhaust can just go straight in. And I've already got some limestone here. I just don't want to block coal access. I think I might actually move this to the other side. That way I can continue the limestone underneath. And then run it into here. Then I'll just get the sulfur into a bucket here. And the trucks could take that sulfur and drop it off back over here to be turned into slag if I really need to. Now the outputs from these desalinators need to somehow get back to the very start of the water pipe so that they have priority. I think what I'll do is just run them on top of this belt here. It's too tall. What if I do some in-between shenanigans? Once I get to here, I can go up and over. Oh, it really does not want to work with me on this one. Okay, scratch that. What if I run it back over the exhaust pipes? Do I have space there? Yes, I do. Okay, this might work. Because then I can run all the way into here, and then use a pipe balancer here to prioritize this water over any water from this pipe. I think I can actually just remove this whole thing here. This is just in the way. And then I can get in some evaporation ponds here. This produces 24. This can consume 48. So I really only need the one pond. And I think I'll aim it backwards towards the sulfur. So these will just go over into here. Now I need a way of getting brine into here, or seawater, and I think that can fit right here. Just like that, and like that. And I think that's everything. Let's get rid of you. Let's unpause everything. Oh, I guess I do need to make the, balancer connection here. So right there. Unpause you, and I want to prioritize this in. And of course, you had to go and trap yourself. Then the final step is removing all of these smokestacks. and then figuring out how to evenly balance the exhaust across these two pipes. And I think the easiest thing to do is just to alternate which one they plug into. Then for these guys, it should just be pretty straightforward. Those two go into that one, and this goes into the top one. Alright. Oh. Oh, you can't buffer exhaust. I guess that makes sense. Because then you could just do the Unity delete and it would disappear. Okay, I guess the devs thought of everything. That means I'm just gonna have to run these straight into here. And hope that the pipe itself acts as a large enough buffer. But this is starting to scrub some exhaust now. Excellent. Should end up with some clean water and brine out of this side. Comes the water and brine. Beautiful. The slag is returning back to the input of the concrete. Water is going all the way back to the beginning. And this should be prioritizing it. Now I think the only way this can back up is if I don't use the salt quickly enough. Because then the brine will back up, which means these will back up, which means this will back up. But if we take a look at air pollution now, yeah, we're down to 6.3. And my people are a little bit healthier. Noticeably healthier. Now I'd like to turn my attention to water pollution. So I need to eliminate this pipe here. I want to figure out the final sizing of the settlement, at least for this area. I might make a new one in the future, once I get more of the island exposed. But for now, this is going to be the final size of this settlement. I want this road to continue out, but square off in the middle of this hex here. So this will be a road, and this will be a road. So this will continue over to the right and connect in to this road. I do plan on moving this dock in the future over to this area, and I need to move this as well to be closer to the dock. And then I'm actually going to redo this. I know I just did this a few episodes ago, but I need to redo this again so that instead of processing naphtha into fuel gas, I can actually process it into plastic using the polymerization plant right here. But that is for a future episode. This road will continue up to here. And it looks like this farm is actually in the way. Let's get rid of that. I wasn't using it anyway. Now I can think about the wastewater treatment. So this takes filtration medium and chlorine, or sand and chlorine. Now it just depends on how much water I want back out, whether I use sand or filter media. So the main purpose of this isn't actually to make more clean water. It's just to give the wastewater a place to go that won't pollute the ocean. So I'm going to do this because sand is much simpler to bring in than filter media. I can process the sludge in an anaerobic digester here. This will make 24. This can consume 18, but that's if it was being supplied with the full 160 wastewater. I'm not making nearly that much wastewater from this settlement. So this is fine, just going into one digester. I can put a little storage unit here for sand. And the only thing I need to do is supply chlorine. And that is done with an electrolyzer from brine. So to get the brine in, I could actually take any brine that won't fit in this evaporation pond and run it into a tank. Or I could store some up and have the trucks move it from here over to here. So let's redo this a tiny bit. That can plug into there. That can plug into there. This will come out around to there. And I'll say prioritize that. Now I need to deal with the fuel gas and compost that comes out of this. The fuel gas I could actually just flare off. I don't think I'm going to be producing enough for it to be worth it. I am making a little bit of fuel gas from this digester and this digester. And if I plan on going into the greenhouse, I might end up with a lot of extra food, which means I'll end up with a lot of extra natural gas. So it might be time to actually combine all of those outputs together and do something with it. I'll have to see how much excess I make, so for now, I'm just going to flare it. And if I notice the flares are going very often, then I'll try and do something with the gas. So where is this going to fit? I think maybe like right here. I could run this output into here, and then this output into there. That would actually work. And then the compost that this makes can just join up with this belt and be processed in this mixer. Now, doing that in an elegant way, I don't think is possible right now. Especially if I want to maintain truck access. I mean, kind of. It kind of works. I could just flip the direction on this. And then it'll let me plug that into there. Technically that works. I don't need these pipes. They're not going anywhere. I think I'm ready to unpause this. I just need to get the clean water back out. And I think this... Oh, here's what I can do. I can run it back across, not into this pipe, but down to right here. Then I can run it across the farms and plug in back over here on priority and recycle that water all the way back around. I think that'll work. And it looks like we got a lot of trap trucks. I am sorry. Alright, let's see if this works. Oh, I guess it's not gonna work because it doesn't have any chlorine yet. Where's the brine? Salt is almost full. Okay. Relying on exhaust to make brine's probably not the best idea. So I could get another evaporation pond here. I could turn seawater into brine. I have seawater on this pipe. So that's really ugly, but it works. This can run over into here. And now I don't have to rely on exhaust for brine. Alright, here we go. First delivery of brine. Into the electrolyzer. There we go. And now if I look at the health of my population, it's up to 17. So there is no more water pollution. Still got a little bit of air pollution. Where is that coming from? I guess, yeah, the CO2. Oh, right. I have all this exhaust here. It's actually not that much, though. It's just 9 times 8. 72. I think now that my health is back up to 17, I don't need to worry about this tiny thing here. I can switch my attention over to greenhouses now, and better food production. So let's upgrade all of these. And then I could think about where I want to get the chicken farms. So these take animal feed and water, and I get eggs. Oh, and if I enable slaughtering, then I also get chicken carcasses. Then in the food processor, I can take those chicken carcasses, mix it with some water and salt. Now I am making salt way back over here. So I have all of those ingredients already. I'll get meat and meat trimmings. Then in the mixer 2, I can take those meat trimmings and turn it into compost. But one thing at a time, let's get that out of the way. I want to focus on these. Oh, the greenhouse is so much prettier. Now I can do some really cool crops. I could do corn, I could do wheat, I could do soybeans. So if I look at the food in the settlement, I already have potatoes and vegetables. I could introduce meat from the chickens and eggs from the chickens. I could do corn and fruit, and then have a couple doing wheat to make bread. So let's add fruit, and maybe corn. I will need to come up with a processing system for all of that now. So these saplings are not in a great spot. I'm going to move them down to the left a little further. I'll get in another food market here and here. And it looks like fruit goes on the flat belt. Okay. So now that I know that, I'll get in one of these. I'll copy this whole thing here. I guess I could just copy this whole thing. Need to get in a flat sorter and filter out fruit. Go ahead and build that for me, trucks. Now I'm getting a little extra unity because I'm supplying fruit on top of vegetables. Looks like corn is on the U-shaped belt. So I'll just copy this setup here I have for the potatoes. Now I can only have 4 products here. So on this one, I'll also assign fruit. But instead of corn, I will do wheat. So I'll have this one and this one do corn, and this one and this one do wheat. Now the wheat actually needs to bypass this whole food section here, and then be turned into bread at a mill. Or no, first it gets turned into flour, then it can get turned into bread. And then this will supply the animal feed I need to keep the chicken farms running. And rather than waiting for the farms to produce wheat, I'm just going to check the filters and see where wheat shows up. So this is a U-shaped sorter, and wheat shows up here as an option. If I look at the flat sorter, it's not an option here. So I know that wheat will be on the U-shaped conveyor. So all of the wheat processing, I guess I could still do in this area here. I do need to leave some space for the trucks to get through to fill this up with rock. I'm probably gonna have to change this in the future. But for now, all of the wheat can come over this way into here. I'll get a food market right here for bread. And then I'll just run an elevated flat conveyor to connect these two. That way trucks can still get underneath over to the animal feed. And they can take that animal feed and run it over into the chicken farms now. So let's work on chickens. It has 2 inputs, the feed input and the water input. I'm probably going to want a couple of these. Maybe just 2 for now. Enough to establish a pattern. I could start using these larger storage bins now that I have all of this space to work with. So the animal feed can just run along a manifold. The water will do the same. I get 2 outputs here. Carcasses and eggs. Both of which run on a flat belt. So I think over here I'll get in some storage. I could have the eggs run along here. And the carcasses right above that. Into this storage bin. Then if I decide I want more farms in the future, I can just add more. And the manifold can scale with the farms. I think I'll orient this in this direction. Right about here. And then this is actually all I would need to process all of the carcasses. So this, I think I'll put maybe right here. And then I'll get in another food market right across from that for eggs and meat. Or, well, actually, I could just do 2 of these. One exclusively eggs, and one exclusively meat. Now, in order to get chickens into these farms, I'm pretty sure I have to do some trading. Where is that settlement? Here it is. So I need to trade construction parts 2 in order to get some chickens. Those should just populate into the farms. So based on the current number of chickens I have, it looks like this would take 1.85 animal feed. I am producing 2. Assuming I have a steady supply of wheat. Oh, it's increasing as I get more chickens. It's above 2 now. Is there another way to make animal feed? So using the mixer, I can turn potatoes into animal feed. I could turn wheat straight into animal feed, corn into animal feed. You know, this is actually better than the digester route. Because any excess food types, I just turn into animal feed. And then if I have too much animal feed, I can just turn that into compost. Rather than going straight into compost through the digester. And then I don't have to worry about flaring this natural gas. That's actually a lot better. Now, I can't do the same thing with vegetables and fruit. I can only do that with the potatoes and with the corn. So above the compost belt, I'll run an animal feed belt back over to here. Drop it down into that bucket. So any excess potatoes will become animal feed. And any excess wheat will also become animal feed. Oh wait, no, sorry, this is corn. There we go. Well, now I just need to make enough food to feed my people and my chickens. My chickens don't have any food right now. So I have every single one of these greenhouses running right now. I've got no fertilizer left. What are you gonna try out? What? You have a water pipe input. Oh my god. This is backwards. Why did it let me do that? I have the water plugged into the fertilizer and the fertilizer plugged into the water. You know, I think I'll just edit that part out. Well, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I don't need animal feed anymore. The bad news is that all my chickens died. Now, the best ratio for animal feed is actually soybeans. If I look here, soybeans take the most amount of fertility and produce the least amount of food. The next best is actually wheat at 96. So any wheat that can't go into this bucket here, I think I'll run back into this mixer here, and this mixer can do both wheat and corn into animal feed. That way I can keep my chickens fed, so they don't die off on me again. So right here, I want to redo this busing. I'll get in a balancer. I'll take wheat in here, and I'll prioritize this output towards the bread maker. I actually don't even need this storage if I have a priority here. So this will come out into here. This will go back into there. And I'm going to pause this belt so that no more wheat can go into this bucket. And then once this is empty, I'll just delete it and belt straight from this balancer into the mill. There's no point in storing up all this wheat. It would just be sitting there doing nothing. Now, if I fill up on fruit and vegetables really easily, I may consider actually just redoing this whole schedule. So let me think about this. I have potatoes, vegetables, fruit, corn, and wheat. That's 5 different inputs. I have 8 farms that can do 4 each. 8 times 4 is 32. 5 does not easily go into 32. It does go into 30 though. If I look at what is produced the most here, it looks like fruit across all of them is actually the highest. So I think maybe on these last 2 over here, instead of doing fruit, I could do corn. And I think that might be a better balance. Alright, let's buy a few more chickens. Promise to take better care of them this time. Alright, my people are happier and healthier than they've ever been. Health is up to 15 now. There's no water pollution. Air pollution is significantly lower. This is still making a lot of pollution here, but this is very necessary. I need to keep coal coming in. I plan on redoing this in the next episode when I get more of the docks in place. And I'm definitely going to have to get into that iron contract because I'm slowly running out of iron. I don't have all that much left, and I need iron in order to keep maintenance going. But getting in all of these greenhouses and producing a lot more food types on top of acquiring some pets, I think is really good progress in this episode. Once the chicken population grows a little bit, I will have an extra health bonus for having 3 categories of food satisfied. But Unity is +4 every month. That is a lot. I can actually use that to save some fuel here and some fuel here. It's a little unfortunate that I had to pivot into health maintenance. It was just a necessary step. I really wanted to get into better infrastructure, but that'll have to wait for the next episode. But with all the improvements I made, this should be a very stable colony now. I might play a little bit between episodes. Not quite as much as last time. I don't need to do as much terraforming. But ore contracts and better infrastructure for sure will happen next time. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next episode.